So bladder contains approximately 5 milliliters of cloudy yellow urine. Mm-hmm. The prostate is slightly and diffusely enlarged with marked enlargement of the verumontanum.
That's how I would have said it.
The testes are unremarkable. That's the last thing I want anybody to say about my nuts.
Sort of discussion between him and someone.
Okay. The guy says exactly, not clear what effects hormones might have on that aren't replaced by testosterone. The advantage of taking testosterone, there are two different things. You can have high testosterone and still have a need for Viagra because you don't have a prostate, right? And then Epstein says, correct. You don't buy that?
I don't buy it's dead. Why would you?
Right. I don't buy his dead either.
So Joe, I haven't been keeping up with that. Rogan has been inundated with so much of the Epstein files that he now has no choice but to discuss them, because every guest he's had on since the second wave of emails dropped wants to talk about it. But instead of, I don't know, talking about his billionaire tech friends who are all over the files, which isn't even conspiratorial at all, he goes all in on the idea that Epstein might be alive, which is a nice consolation prize, I guess, for the people who still watch Rogan and wish he would go full 2009 Joe about the files and stop trying to walk on eggshells in hopes of not having his invitation to the White House revoked. But as more details come out, it's getting pretty hard for him to dodge the conversation. Like how Epstein's autopsy said he had an enlarged prostate. But then when you read over the files, Epstein said he had his prostate surgically removed.
So he doesn't have a prostate?
Doesn't have a prostate, it says.
There's another document that says something about it. After a radical prostatectomy.
Prostatectomy.
So when they take out your prostate?
But that doesn't necessarily say he had his. I think it's a document.
But he said he doesn't have
Correct.
a prostate,
Right.
and it says patient Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
And it says, according to the American Urological Association, serum PSA should decrease and remain at undetectable levels after radical prostatectomy.
And there's other documents where
Prostatectomy.
he's contacting doctors that specialize in that very thing.
Okay, so the doctor saying he had a radical prostatectomy, he's saying he does not have a prostate, but yet the body from the autopsy
And so
talks about the prostate is slightly and diffusedly enlarged. So that's not his body? That's what it seems like. You don't buy that?
I don't buy it's dead. Why would you?
Right. I don't buy his dead either.
It's not hard to believe that what appears to be the most powerful man on earth wouldn't allow his life to be snuffed out in a cold prison cell. There's just too much smoke around all of it. Apparently, a guy on 4chan made a post claiming to be the guard on duty at the prison watching Epstein. He said a van pulled up, suited men walked into the cell after bypassing all check-in and clearance processes, led someone into the cell, and left with someone strapped to a wheelchair. An hour after that post was made, Epstein was reported dead. Someone found that post saved in the Epstein files. In the files is the work of someone who traced the post and ID'd who made it. And their name is saved along with the post. That name matches a guard who worked at the prison at the time. There's also that drone shot of someone getting out of a car on an island and it looks a lot like him. This was taken a few days after he allegedly died. Plus his Fortnite account was leaked to the most recent file dump, and when people checked it, it showed that someone had been using the account over the last few months. Then it was suddenly made private once word started spreading. But you've got to think, how can they be smart enough to trick the whole world into thinking he died, but dumb enough to keep using his accounts? Some people think that stuff like this weakens the hypothesis that he's alive. What's even crazier is 90% of you watching aren't subscribed. Subscribe.
He complained that his cellmate tried to kill him. And you know who his cellmate is?
Who?
Oh, you don't know?
No.
I'm not Kurt Metzger. You don't know? Oh, you don't know? His cellmate was this gigantic cop who was a murderer. He had killed 4 different drug dealers. Yeah, he was a contract killer. This is the guy. That's his cellmate. Look at that gorilla.
That's a silverback.
Yeah, dirty cop, murderer. And then they said, most high-profile witness of all time, defendant of all time. Let's put him in jail with a murderer, a guy who contract kills, dirty cop. And then he says the report was they found him unresponsive with a noose around his neck or an orange jumpsuit turned into a rope around his neck. And then he said that his cellmate tried to kill him.
My question. Does anyone really believe he was in a jail cell? Because I know if I had the guy that can unravel entire government dynasties and take down an entire system. The last thing, dude, he's somewhere about 3 miles underground. You're not taking someone like that and going, oh, we're just gonna put this very valuable human being into a jail cell where
With a multiple murderer,
with
who's a
two guys
contract
making
killer,
$18 an hour are gonna watch him.
who are sleeping
Like, come on, stop.
when the cameras are down.
The cop in the cell story seems like a nice little narrative to convince the boomers that justice was served, especially since the cop they say was in the cell with Epstein was there for eliminating drug dealers. My boomer parents think it's poetic justice. The whole thing is purposely convoluted. They tell us Epstein eliminated himself while also saying he was in a cell with a murderer. At the same time, they've got Kash Patel and Dan Bongino being good boys and saying unequivocally that Epstein eliminated himself. Their first year in the FBI felt like a humiliation ritual tour, like they were forced to pay penance for all the trash they talked on their podcast.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file.
Bongino couldn't take it. He had to run back to his podcast, which started out with pretty good numbers upon its return, but instantly dropped off by half within a few weeks. But yeah, the government has told us everything but the truth for like the last 80 years, so it would actually be the dumber take to just believe what Kash and Bongino are clearly forced to say.
Is there any photos
horror
of
show.
Jeffrey Epstein that are well, here's the thing, are they real? In a jumpsuit, like in court, in jail, getting arrested?
I'm looking for.
When you arrest big figures, he was a big figure. It's a big to do. Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
Jeffrey, what'd you do?
Right.
What about the children?
Care to comment on the children?
What are you doing with the children, Jeffrey?
Why did you need 330 gallons of sulfuric acid? They didn't know about that back
What are
then.
chickens? What are chickens? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Like,
What is jerky?
what is jerky?
Well, no one knew any of that stuff back then. If he was alive now, for sure those questions would be shouted out.
What is pizza and pasta? What happened at Obama's White House?
What is pizza? Pizza's mentioned like 900 times.
It's a little
Clearly
weird.
As a code. Clearly as a code.
You know how crazy I felt for the longest time? Like, I'd just be in a coffee shop, and I'm like, you guys don't know, like, oh, yeah, Jim's a little wacky. But now it's
Did
coming
you
out.
see that video we played the other day of this guy at the airport just yelling out?
Yes!
You guys are going out
Is
about
that a
your
chick?
business. No, it's a guy. He's like, the files have been released.
Yeah. I saw that, and they were going, and you're all just going
Yeah.
about your business. The files are released. Kids are being tortured. Which,
But my question was like, what do you want me to do?
what do you...
I'm flying to Atlanta. What do you want me to do?
I don't know, Joe. Maybe use your platform that reaches hundreds of millions of people every year to hold the people in power accountable. Joe is basically a constituent to Trump. What Joe says should have weight within the Oval Office. He platformed Trump. He went to the inauguration. He's been to the White House with his family. So yeah, while other people are boarding a flight to Atlanta and really can't do anything about it, Joe can do something about it. Now is the perfect time, if there ever was one, to have on Alex Jones, Tim Dillon, and Eddie Bravo. So why isn't he? I don't even think Joe would have talked about the files if his guest over the last month hadn't brought it up on every episode, because he's constantly saying how he's staying off social media. Which is kind of weird for a guy whose job it is to talk about culturally relevant topics. And as more comes out, the more my QAnon friends are being vindicated. They were talking about sleepy Joe Biden doubles back in 2019, and Rogan is just now talking about it. Like how in the emails they say he was eliminated, and the guy we watch fall apart before our eyes over the last 6 years is like clone Brian from Family Guy.
Brian, I think my jaw is falling off.
With modern masks. Like, remember the tall Biden? There's not a chance in hell that was Biden.
I feel so redeemed. My wife used to get so mad at me. So mad at me. My kids would get so mad at me. And I would say it everywhere. I'd say it on stage. I'd say it on social media. I go, I don't care what you say. That is not Joe Biden.
You know, there was also that in the files, too. They were talking
Call me
about the
crazy.
masks.
And now all of a sudden they're like, oh, no, he was executed. Isn't that what they said? Executed?
Yeah, that seems sus.
Bro, I went down that
There's a
rabbit
lot
hole.
of those emails are just emails, right? First of all, Epstein is dealing with prostitutes, people that are willing to get prostitutes. He's dealing with a lot of criminals and weirdos, and a lot of those people are probably full, right? So just because somebody writes something in an email doesn't mean it's a fact. However, when you see the video of Tall Biden, pull out Tall Biden.
It's hilarious to watch Joe try to tiptoe on eggshells. On one hand, he admits that with modern mask technology, it's definitely possible to fool the public. Then on the other hand, he doesn't believe his lying eyes, says the emails are just emails, they're just words. Then he goes right back to believing his lying eyes, which tell us that Joe Biden, or Bidens, we saw over the last half decade are not the original Joe. Roger Avery summed up Joe perfectly on his last appearance.
Mundus vult decipi, ergo decipiatur. It's a long-known concept. And so in Latin, mundus vult decipi means the world wants to be deceived. Ergo decipiatur, therefore it is. We want to be deceived. We don't want to believe the horrors that are actually behind the veil.
From my perspective, I think it's 100% possible that Trump and his team would orchestrate the 2020 election to let Biden win, giving the illusion of a transfer of power. Trump gets a 4-year vacation in between the first 12-year presidential term in U.S. history. Make it appear like Biden is in charge, make him do a terrible job, then Trump returns from vacation to right all the wrongs that his administration caused while masquerading Sleepy Joe as the real leader. That would make sense of the auto pen, since Joe's double wouldn't be able to recreate his signature. It's all a big show, a terribly written one this time around. Like Apprentice season whatever. It wouldn't surprise me if this season of America is being produced by the same people who produced The Apprentice. As the podcast goes on, there's a moment where Brewer talks about a time years ago before JRE blew up, back when Joe was Joe, building his brand around truth. It's kind of sad because Joe correctly predicted that the world would come to a crossroads, a point where we'd choose truth or deception.
You inspired me so much years ago, years and years ago. You came on my radio show and you literally started talking and you called in. And I remember I just told everyone, just be quiet and let him go. And just, I knew at that moment you were going to be changing like culture, if that makes sense. You went into this deep conversation about we are shifting in humanity, and basically you said we're either going to live for truth, or you're going to be a liar, like leech type thing. It was very powerful, and I think eventually I was like, put Pink Floyd behind it, put that on somehow, put it on the internet.
There's a clip of that.
It is one of the most, because I wanted the world to hear what you said. It was such a, like no other pastor could say, no one could say it the way you said it. So yes, it is all luck, but I do believe that presence that you put out and that energy, it's trusted. And it's a force that opens doors without even you knowing it, because it is all for the good, in my belief. But anyway, that's my little
thank you. That's very
compliment for
kind of
you.
It's a real bummer Joe took the stool routine and the 30 pieces of Spotify silver over what he built his brand on. Joe could go on a rant better than anyone, better than Alex Jones even. And he wasn't discrediting himself and the facts by shouting them at you like Alex Jones does. And it actually held weight because he's an intelligent and articulate dude. But nowadays he plays dumb. He's more into platforming his AI tech friends, who he refuses to denounce even though their names are all over the Epstein files. And even though they're ushering in the AI that Joe believes is currently destroying modern man, and what he also believes will eventually become Jesus.
How about coding? All these people that went to school. Remember, like a long time ago, they're saying, what are these minors going to do? Learn to code.
Right.
Yeah, not anymore.
Not anymore.
No, now coding is ridiculous.
I wonder what we're going to see in our lifetime.
We're going to see a digital life form.
Yeah.
We're going to see a superior intelligence digital life form that's probably going to control all the resources. That's what's going to get really weird. And it's like, and who's going to be at the helm of that thing?
Yeah, who's the funders?
Is anybody going to be at the helm of that thing? At one point in time, does it take over for itself? Because it's already shown that it wants to survive, right? It's going to turn this oxygen meter off. It's going to blackmail this guy. It's going to upload versions of itself to other servers. It's going to send messages to itself to let them know what these people did to it.
Blackmailing.
Blackmailing.
Can you imagine getting blackmailed
Not
by
only
a
that,
computer?
but talking in people into committing.
That's insane.
Encouraging people to commit.
See, and this too, it's like, listen, I'm a God guy. If you don't have that, you're going to be talking to a computer, and a computer's going to tell you jump off a ledge. Why would you it's that is even more. It's frightening.
I'll do you one better.
Yeah, good.
People are going to worship these things.
Correct.
That's all I got.